Not every Pokemon is free in Pokemon Champions, and that sets a bad precedence moving forward for games like Winds and Waves. Let's dive right into it.
Bros and badges, gotta collect them all.
Welcome back to the Bros and Badges podcast. Yes, Joe and I are talking about controversy because we love good old-fashioned controversy. But yeah, what we're talking about today is Mega Floette, the Mega Floette situation. If y'all don't know this, Mega Floette is a Pokemon that you can get in Legends ZA, and you can transfer to Pokemon Champions, but it is not freely available in Pokemon Champions. What we mean by that is you have to buy Legends ZA to get the Pokemon, and it's not just in Champions. You can't just find Mega Floette chilling on the ranch. So Joe, what do you think about this? This does kind of set a bad precedence moving forward for games like Winds and Waves. Does that mean that other, Pokemon, other legendaries, etc., other Mega Evolutions are going to be locked to that game where we have to buy and purchase that game to actually get them in Champions? What do you think about that?
Yeah, I mean, it's an interesting conversation to have, which is obviously why we're having it. But it's extra interesting because we've actually covered quite a few things on this channel that maybe make it more of a topic for us to cover, and that is we are very, very free to play forward. We always say on the channel that the two of us are able to, be able to play this game pretty much to our heart's content without spending too much money, or really any money if you don't want to. And I think we've been very pro that stance, but this is something that is a huge blockade in the way of that. And the reason is because if you are just a free-to-play player, you really don't have access to this Pokemon. And it does kind of have an unfair advantage because Mega Floette is a huge Pokemon to have. This is a very, very important Pokemon. It's very strong. And it, even in terms of like story importance in ZA, it's kind of interesting that they decided that the only way to get it is through that game. And listen, sure, we're big ZA defenders, but also we know not everybody has the money or the want to play that game. So it does kind of suck to see that if you are someone who wants to run Mega Floette, you're kind of just thrown to the wayside. You really either have to find someone who's willing to trade it to you, or you gotta buckle down and buy Legends ZA, and not just buy it. You have to beat it, because that is pretty much the last Pokemon you get. You have to complete the story to receive it. So, I mean, for me personally, yeah, I do agree. It does set a negative, there's a huge negative connotation when it comes to the game in general. I feel like people don't fully think it can be played free, even though it can. And when people hear this news, it kind of stokes the flames of the people who are already naysayers to that. Can Mega Floette eventually come to Pokemon Go, eventually, alleviating this? I'm sure it could happen. I'm sure there's a huge possibility there, but it's more so the fact that you have to wait. So you're either forced to, again, pay $60, $70, depending on which version of ZA you're getting, and then you have to beat it to get this Pokemon, instead of it just being, like you said, readily available and able to receive. So I'm not the biggest fan of this. And as you mentioned, with Winds and Waves releasing, sometime next year, it's starting an interesting conversation of like, well, are those bots legendaries going to be stuck to that game? Is there going to be some Pokemon that isn't? Like, I'm positive when Winds and Waves do release, not every Pokemon in it is going to be in Pokemon Champions. They're going to have to cut some out. And with regular Pokemon, yeah, that's fine. Like, for the most part, we know that eventually along the way they'll get added. But for legendaries, I mean, these are very important Pokemon. These are Pokemon that see a lot of use in VGC. They're kind of hallmarks to like strength in battling. So I don't know, man. I think if this is how they're planning on doing it, I'm hoping it's just an oversight and they're like, hey, we do got to give this. Luckily, it's a Mega Floette, which, I didn't plan on using, which is why I think we're talking about it so late. But, for the people that do, and there are people that do want to use it, yeah, this sucks, dude. But how about you? How's this whole situation kind of hitting you in your brain? Like, what are your thoughts?
The way I look at it is this. You got yourself a girl, right? You got yourself a girl, and she's not going to be too happy if you just walk up to her and you give her some flowers and you say, I stole these from the local cemetery,
True.
I got these for free on the street. I found them and I just grab them for you. She's gonna feel a lot better if you buy those flowers. You know what I'm saying? So I feel like
sure
maybe
do.
Floette is a Pokemon deserving of being bought because it's a flower Pokemon. Anyway, that's the stupidest analogy ever. But no, I think
You sold me, actually, dude. You sold me on it.
Yeah, you gotta buy flowers. You gotta buy flowers. You can't buy your flowers and smell them too. Anyway, but I think it's a bad precedence. I think it's just a bad precedence. Yeah. I would guarantee that there's going to be Pokemon in Winds and Waves that are going to have the same thing. You're going to have to buy
100%.
Winds and Waves if you want them in Champions. I think that just sets this precedence moving forward. So there's going to be a lot of people that are frustrated by that. It doesn't super affect us because we're just Pokemon shills. I mean, we've been called shills before. We're going to buy each game. But honestly, we buy the games because we love playing them. I liked playing Legends EA, so it doesn't super bother me. I'm going to buy Winds and Waves. It doesn't super bother me that they're going to be Pokemon locked to that game. But honestly, as a game that is touted as a free-to-play, free-to-start game, I don't understand why it's not just available in Champions. It should be. You know what I'm saying? It just kind of should be. It's a little bizarre they haven't made it available, and maybe they will. Maybe that'll be an update where you don't have to buy Legends EA to do it. But I think it does set a bad precedence moving forward, and I think there are a lot of people who are probably not going to be super happy about that. There's a reason this has been a controversy. But yeah, we wanted to just kind of talk about that today and see what you guys think. Is this going to affect Champions moving forward? Is it going to affect mainline games moving forward like Winds and Waves? Is that going to, is that going to make you buy Winds and Waves? Maybe you weren't going to, but now you're a Champions fan and you're like, I need access to all the Mons. I mean, we were going to buy it anyway, like we said. But yeah, Joe, I'm not too mad about it, but I also understand why other people would be upset by it. That's my current stance.
Yeah, I agree. I think, again, to kind of, I guess, end it off, the only people that really got hit by this are the eventual mobile players who are maybe not as indoctrinated into the Pokemon sphere as most people, but
That's true.
I guess is that going to be a huge part of the community? I don't know. Pokemon Champions is really interesting because it is free to play and it is free to get on, but also it is the most competitive version of Pokemon possible. So it's somehow simultaneously.
I'm gonna say I think it's gonna do incredibly well on phones. Actually,
really,
I think it's gonna do incredibly well on phones. But mainly just because I've actually had a bunch of friends randomly have talked to me I've heard about that new Champions game, and they know I like Pokemon, and these are casual people who aren't even really into Pokemon. I've had friends be like, I've heard about that new Champions game, and they're like, where can you play that? And I'm like, well, it's on Switch or Switch 2, and a lot of them don't have Switches. They're just like, oh, okay. And I'm like, but it's coming to phones. They're like, oh, dang, I'm gonna get that on my phone. I don't know. I think there are a lot of people who might actually show up for Champions on the phone, on the mobile side, but we'll see. Maybe that's a topic for another video. But yeah, guys, for all you mobile players, I'm sorry that Floette is locked, and yeah, I don't know, sucks to suck.